Thank you for being here. I just want to also thank Tara Philmeyer, your student's counselor, for having us come over, and Alyssa Jacobson, who's hiding in the hall, the director of counseling here at MEH, for helping us set this up this morning. And I'd also like to introduce you to most of our, not all of our, but most of our counseling team. This is Alana Reyes. She's one of our counselors. Valerie Chesley, another one of our counselors. And Brad McAdam, another one of our counselors. And then we have Micah Thomason, who's back at the high school keeping down the fort for us. And we have Bob Palermo, who is our college career coordinator. And then if you were visiting George Mason last week, hopefully you got to meet Laura. Laura is our IB-MYP coordinator at the middle school and at the high school. So hopefully you got to hear her and Dan Coase speak last week. Today's focus, good morning, today's focus is not to talk about IB, though we will interject a little bit. It's not to talk about the courses your students are going to sign up for next year. Today's focus is so that we can share with you what is required to get a Virginia diploma and the two different kinds of Virginia diplomas that are available to your students. And we will incorporate some IB and MYP stuff in with that. And then also to show you what a high school transcript looks like from George Mason High School, the different components and what you can expect to see on your children's transcript. And when I say a transcript means any student who takes a course for high school credit appears on this document, which is a legal document, and stays with them. So first we're going to go over the diplomas. And all the counselors and everybody's just going to interject as they see fit. So if you have questions, we can take them as you go and still answer some at the end. So we have two types of diploma. I didn't introduce Lisa High, too. Sorry. Our Assistant Superintendent of Instruction, Innovation, and Personnel. And we have two types of diplomas. We have a standard diploma and an advanced diploma. The differences between the two basically are the number of courses and specific courses that are required to graduate. Remember, our focus in the counseling department is for your children to graduate from George Mason High School with a Virginia diploma. If they pursue the IB diploma, we work very closely together with the IB coordinator so they can achieve both. But today we're just focused on the Virginia diploma. So the standard diploma requires a minimum of 22 credits, and I say a minimum because many of our students do more than that, and 6 verified credits, which we'll go over what a verified credit is shortly. They're required to take 4 years of English. In front of each number are 2 squares. Each square represents a semester. At George Mason, they get a grade and a half of a credit per semester, totaling a full year's worth at the end of the year. They're required to have at least 3 years of social studies. And these titles of these disciplines will change on here because now we're an MYP school and we don't call social studies, or we will not be calling social studies. And Laura will remind me, I'm sure. But for now, this is what the state calls it. And so they're required to have a minimum of 1 year of world history, and many of your students are doing that this year in 8th grade. Many of your students are taking World Civ 1, and they're going to get high school credit. So they're going to already start with a high school credit in social studies. Then they're required to take U.S. government and U.S. history. For a standard diploma, they're required to have at least 3 years of math at the level of Algebra 1 and above. And again, some of your students are taking Algebra 1 now. Some of your students are taking Geometry 1 now. If they're taking algebra or geometry, they will get a credit for each one of those that will go towards their high school graduation requirements. If they're taking Math 8 or pre-algebra, that is not considered a high school credit. Remember, it's Algebra 1 or above. They're required to have at least 3 years of science in at least 2 different disciplines, the physical, the chemical, and the biological. All of your students now are taking physical science. That does not count towards high school graduation. That's different than the physical that's here. The physical that's here is more like a physics course that they would take in high school. So they will not start at George Mason with any science credit. They're also required to take PE and health in 9th and 10th grade. These are all state requirements. These are not George Mason requirements. These are state requirements for a standard diploma. A few years ago, the state of Virginia instituted another requirement, a course called Economics and Personal Finance. A student is required to have this at any time prior to graduation. There are some students that take it in 9th grade or the summer between 9th and 10th grade, and I'll explain how they can do that too shortly. But my opinion, and I think many of the counselors' opinions, it's more valuable if they take it later on in high school. It will help them more. They really don't need to know how to balance a checkbook in 9th grade. They really don't know how to budget their finances to rent an apartment in 9th grade. But it is a requirement. Just keep that in mind. And they can take it at any time. We have this virtual course requirement listed here because the state of Virginia now says every student must have at least one virtual online course prior to graduating. This course, this requirement, I should say, gets satisfied when they take this class. It's an automatic. Whether they take it in our traditional classroom or we also have an online version, it satisfies this requirement. And because they're required to have this, they will get this. Okay? Then they're required to have 6 electives. 2 of them must be sequential. This is again for a standard diploma. A sequential elective would be something like Art 1, Art 2, Theater 1, Theater 2. If they take a world language or a foreign language, they're not required to have that for the diploma, but if they take 2 years of Spanish, get 2 years of high school credit for Spanish or French or Mandarin, they can also use that as their sequential elective. So they don't lose out. And with MYP, students are required to take a world language or a foreign language. So even if they're pursuing that standard diploma, they're going to do a world language. And it can be used to satisfy this for the state requirement. So hopefully you're seeing that we work hand in hand with all the requirements, but just different terms coming from different angles. And then they're required to have 4 more electives. 1 must be in fine arts or CTE, fine arts or career and tech ed. And this CTE credential is something that's pretty new as well. And this, again, only pertains to a standard diploma. A CTE credential is an exam that's given. That's one type of a credential. An exam that's given called a workplace readiness exam. And in Falls Church City, the test that we use is called the WISE test. Some of our students go to the Arlington Career Center later on in high school, and they earn that CTE credential based on the courses that they're taking and the testing and the certification that's given to them there. If they don't do that, when they take this economics and personal finance class, they are working towards that test and that credential so they can get it at that point. Now, a verified credit. Many of you, or most of you, should be aware of a verified credit. A verified credit means that a student has taken a course, and where there is an SOL, an end of course test, the standard of learning, associated with that course, when they pass the course and they take the test and pass that test, then they get this verified credit. For a standard diploma, they're required to have 1 social studies, 1 math, 1 science, 1 test of their choice, and then they take the writing and the reading. And the writing and the reading are only offered after they finish or at the end of their 11th grade year. For the students who are taking algebra right now or geometry right now, they most likely will satisfy this math verified credit this year. They will take the SOL. So they've already checked that box. The World Civ, there's an SOL associated with that. So if they're taking that, they will have satisfied that requirement too. And this down here is just if they are an IB diploma candidate. These are worksheets that many of us use at the high school. It's not a legal document by any stretch of the imagination. It's a document just to fill in and share with the students. It's a good visual for them to see. We'll check off a box when they've completed something so they can see what they've completed and what they still need to work on to graduate. If they're an IB diploma candidate, we will check this box here. Any questions so far? Yes?
What is the student choice?
The student choice means that they can take an SOL in any course where there is an SOL and earn that verified credit. So as an example, if your student did Algebra 1, I'm just going to pick this out of the top of my head, Algebra 1 in 8th grade, took the SOL, they satisfied that math requirement. In 9th grade, now they go on to geometry. If they pass the class, take the geometry SOL, they get another verified credit. That could be their choice.
Doesn't have to be an elective.
There are no SOLs
That's
associated with
what I was wondering.
electives.
Am I missing something? Okay,
Right.
so one of the other core subjects can count.
Correct.
And it's really just whatever other SOL they pass. It doesn't, they don't have to like choose it. It's just whatever one they pass, we just fill it in and mark it.
There are 11 potential SOLs that a student could take throughout high school, 11 courses that offer an SOL at the end. Many of our students will take all 11. Some only take 9 or 10, but it just automatically happens and we just assign their credit as needed.
Yes.
So once you take the SOLs that check these boxes, do you not have to take any more?
No, actually the state says that if you take a course and there's an SOL associated with it, you're required to sit for that SOL. And I'll tell you the reason. The reason is they follow the performance of students in the state of Virginia. And it's their assumption, and I'm only saying it in this way because I was told this from the state, it is their assumption that if a student does not sit for an SOL with a good reason for not, that they were sick or something happened, they had a concussion or something happened where they couldn't take it, that they think we're hiding something, that maybe that student wouldn't perform so well. So the state says you must have a real good reason why a student wouldn't sit for the SOL. We have to report it.
It's possible to be an IB diploma candidate and complete a standard diploma?
Yes, it is. It is. Remember, the diplomas that we're talking about are what's required for the state of Virginia. It doesn't stipulate what you must or must not take for the IB diploma. Remember I said for a standard diploma, world language is not required. But because we're an MYP division or an MYP school, language is required. So they must take language in 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And a standard diploma doesn't require it. So they can use those languages as elective credits. So it's not for naught. It still counts for something as far as requirements go. Graduation. Yes?
I'm sorry, I might have missed it. What is MYP?
Middle years program. So in the elementary school, we have PYP, primary years, followed on by MYP, which goes from 6th through 10th grade. And then we have our IB diploma program, which is 11th and 12th grade. So we're a whole diploma district. Yes?
I have a student now, I have in high school, but I have one here in the 8th grade. After this year, we are moving to overseas.
Okay.
And he will be there for 3 years.
Okay.
And he will definitely do IB and full diploma.
Okay.
Probably. He's begging us somehow to try to live there so he finishes overseas.
Okay.
But he might come back in October of his 12th grade.
Okay.
So now, overseas schools, they don't require SOLs.
Correct.
We do MYPs and all the other.
It's a great
lab
question.
testing and all sorts of other Iowa test exams. So he's coming here, he will not have any SOLs passed in his high school.
It's a good, I hear where you're going. The question is, how is he going to graduate coming back the beginning of his senior year, not doing the IB diploma, not having done any of the SOLs that we require and so forth? What happens is the state realizes that we have students who move in and out. So down here we said for a standard diploma, this was what was required to graduate. This is what is required to graduate for SOLs if you start in 9th grade in the state of Virginia. It diminishes, the requirements diminish each year that you are not here. So coming in as a senior, your student would not have nearly this many to pass. It's minimal what they have to pass.
Two.
One English and one other.
And so they don't have to worry about this. If they wanted to sit for SOLs, for courses that they took overseas, they're welcome to do that, but they're not required to.
But that will not be impediment for his graduation?
Not at all. What we find, and I don't even know if this is the right venue, but I'll say it very, very quickly. What we find is the biggest obstacle is students overseas are missing this US VA government course. And so we have means to help them get that without them not being able to
Is
graduate.
it possible, let's say, to do it online?
Yes,
somehow with
yes,
computer?
yes. And we can have this discussion.
Do you work with the State Department of Family
Yes, we do.
Liaison
We
Office
work-
and just arrange the course with kids?
We don't arrange courses, but we
But
work.
the flow, Family Liaison Office in the State Department.
I do work with the Family Liaison Office, or I have worked with the Family Liaison Office. But I'm happy to talk with you about this at another time, if that's okay?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Did I hear you say that they now have to, maybe I'm hearing it wrong, you have to take a foreign language now with MYP all 4 years?
Yes.
So that's new, correct?
That's MYP.
No, not 4 years. 4 years of what?
Oh, no, sorry, for up through 10th grade, MYP.
So they have to take a foreign language through 10th grade?
Correct.
But once they've gotten their 4 years with 2 or 3 years of 1, you can knock it off if you choose.
Correct. And we're going to go to that on the next diploma. Sorry,
And that's for the advanced
right.
you're talking about.
Right.
Does 8th grade Spanish count toward that?
Okay, that's another good question. So your students, if they're taking Spanish now or French or Mandarin, if they complete a full year of it, a full year meaning 1A and 1B, if they're doing it in that venue, or just Spanish 1 as an example, at the end of 1B or at the end of Spanish 1, they get 1 full high school credit. Does that help? Okay. Okay, so let's, if we can, move on to the advanced diploma. So the advanced diploma requires a minimum of 26 credits, unlike the standard of 22 credits. And they've upped the ante for the verified credits. Now they're required to take 9 verified credits. And we're talking in generalizations. Again, this is for a student starting in 9th grade in a Virginia public school. They're still required to have 4 years of English, and we're not talking about levels of courses, we're just talking about what satisfies an English. Now they're required to have at least 4 years of social studies, 2 world history, and remember, you're already coming in with 1 for the most part, government and US history. Now, if they are pursuing an IB diploma, these little titles here can have different titles and still satisfy the requirement. So we work together, as I said earlier, so that they can get the Virginia diploma and the IB diploma if that's what their choice is. I always like to say that, to me, the IB diploma is the icing on the cake. They always have to have their cake, and then we'll put the icing on it with them so that they can get their IB diploma. They also have to have at least 4 years of math, again at the level of Algebra 1 or above. And most of, or many of our students are already coming to high school with at least 1 year of math. Now they're required to have at least 4 years of science from the 3 with the standard. Again, this, or I should say this time, it has to be within 3 disciplines, unlike the 2 for the standard, the biological, chemical, physical, and earth. And they're not coming to George Mason High School with any science credit next year. This is the one that's very, very different. They're required to have a foreign language or world language with at least 2 years of 2 different languages or at least 3 years of the same language. And I just want to make sure I reiterate that if at the middle school they're taking parts 1A and 1B, they don't get the full credit until they complete 1A and 1B. That would be 1 full credit. If they're in a Spanish 1 or a French 1 class, they do get the full credit at the end of the year. They're still required to take the
Okay,
PE and
one
health.
thing about the
Yep.
foreign language. I think this is important. It is conceivable that a student could satisfy the requirements for the advanced diploma with the foreign language in 9th grade because they could take Spanish 3 in 9th grade. However, with MYP, there is a requirement that a student is taking a foreign language through 10th grade. So I just want you to know that your student could have met those requirements, but we'd still ask them to continue with Spanish, or they could pick up another language in 10th grade.
But there is
Good
Spanish
point.
4, right?
Yes,
Of course,
yes, yes.
Oh, yeah, they could keep going, but if they chose to, maybe they're like, oh, I'm done with Spanish. I don't want to take that
Then
anymore.
it's better if you can go to higher level in IB.
I would agree,
So
but
that-
I
If that's the path that you want to take. Absolutely. And we don't really have a limit to the levels of our language classes. They just seem to keep going, so, yes.
Can they take 2 languages in their schedule? Could they take Chinese 3 and Spanish 1?
If it fits in their schedule. They're more likely to have more time to do that in the 11th and 12th grade because we have 7 periods a day at the high school. I think you have 8 at the middle school. We have 7 periods a day. So if we look at a standard schedule for a student, they have to take English, social studies, math, science, let's just say 1 foreign language, and PE. That's already 6. If they choose to take another foreign language, which they certainly can do, they don't have any room for any other elective that year. But once you finish 10th grade, you've now completed your PE requirements. That opens a spot for another course. And I will also say that we have, and I don't want to get into this, we'll talk about this more next Wednesday night when you join us at George Mason High School at 7 o'clock to go over course requests and all that. We'll go over this in depth. But we have a High C program, which is a hybrid learning program. We have a classroom set up with certified teachers where a student can take a course. It's basically online with the assistance of a certified teacher in a room. Or they can even work on it at home on their own. And if a student chooses to do this, whether it be over the summer or during the school year, it might free up another block for another elective or another language. Yes?
It's kind of a, maybe everyone else already knows this. Are there 8 periods in the day?
7.
At the high school?
7.
7 plus lunch?
Correct.
Okay.
7, well, lunch is part of a period at the high school. It depends on who they have as a teacher. We have 3 different lunches. We can't fit everybody in the cafeteria at the same time. So teacher A, B, and C are assigned to different lunch times within periods 4 and 5, depending on the day. So they go to lunch at the same time, and then they go back to class, or they go to class, lunch, back to class, lunch.
You're just confusing me.
Right,
They're
right.
expected to be in class 7 different hours,
Correct.
periods every day.
Correct. That we have a
But it's block scheduling, so it's
correct.
Okay.
And we also have a Mustang block built into the day.
Okay.
So just really quickly, just to go back to taking a second language, just something to consider. One of the tenets of MYP and IB is balance. And I've had students that have taken 2 languages, but you'll notice one of the requirements is fine and practical arts. If you take 7 classes and they're all academic classes, you're not going to have an elective. You're not going to meet that requirement. And so then they're cramming an arts class in over the summer. You're missing out on so many opportunities. It is wonderful to explore 2 languages and something that a student could do, but we also need to make sure we're meeting the requirements for Virginia, and having room for a fine and practical art in the schedule is important, and they do need it for graduation. I had a young lady that had to take it over the summer, and I don't think she had the same level of experience and just appreciation that she would have gotten if she could have had it in 9th or 10th grade. So just something to think about.
Thank you. Again, they're required to have the PE for 9th and 10th grade, and that same course that we talked about before, the economics and personal finance. And also, this is just another course that can satisfy that requirement. Again, the virtual course requirement is satisfied once they complete the economics and personal finance course. The electives become less than they are for the standard. They're only required to have 4 electives, and one of them must be a fine arts or CTE, career in tech ed. Again, if they were to take 5 years of language, that 5th year can count as an elective.
Excuse me, the fine arts and career and tech, it's for the grades 9 and 10. It's
No,
not for the
this is any time before they graduate from high school.
So
Anytime.
let's say if they take band, 9th and 10th grade, they're done with art credits, they don't need to do anything else. So
They're not required to. They might want to.
well, they're not in my family.
Okay. You had a question.
I'm assuming that they can't be exempted from the PE requirement if they're participating in extracurricular sports?
That's correct. That's correct. As of now. Now, the verified credits, the ante is raised a little bit in an advanced diploma. Now they're required to have 9 verified credits, unlike the shorter amount that they took earlier for the standard. Now they're required to have 2 social studies, 2 math, 2 science, still 1 choice, and then again the reading and the writing at the end of their junior year. The reading and the writing is associated with English 11, and that's why they can take that at the end of the junior year. They can take any of these other SOLs when they complete any of those courses. That's a really good question. When do they decide if they're going to pursue the advanced or the standard diploma? My philosophy has always been reach high, you can always drop down if it's not working out. So what I'm trying to say is my goal for all my students is to pursue the advanced diploma. If it's not working, everything that they've done for the advanced falls right into the standard. What is very, very difficult if a student is thinking about doing the standard diploma and now they're starting their junior year and they just moved into Virginia, hypothetically. Just moved into Virginia, they didn't come from an MYP school, so they didn't have any world language. There's virtually very little ways for them to get the advanced diploma because they will not have satisfied that requirement. So I say aim high, but if a student really does not have the ability or the capability to do that, then we shouldn't be trying to make them do something that's not right for them. And I think that that is a discussion for you as parents to have with your child and with your child's counselor. I really do.
And just something to think about. The only time we designate whether to advanced versus standard, if you're not from Virginia, you've never heard that term before, it's a Virginia thing. Every state does their own special thing. It is something we designate at the end of graduation. It's a word on a diploma and a word on their transcript. We want them to achieve to the highest level that they're capable of. And whether it's the standard or the advanced, it's just our way of tracking to make sure they're meeting requirements. But in the grand scheme of everything, if a student hands a standard diploma, they can still be a great human and go forth and go to college and do wonderful things with their lives. I've had IB diploma candidates actually earn the standard diploma because of not meeting a certain technical thing for the advanced. So it really is a misnomer that the advanced is, it's just, we're just making sure they're meeting the bare minimum, but whatever they earn, as long as they're graduating, that's the most important thing. And we have plenty of students that are going for standard, but still take 4 years of all those core courses. It's just they didn't meet one small portion for the advanced.
That really goes along with what I was going to ask. What's the benefit, ultimately, of doing the advanced diploma versus?
Go ahead.
I think, it's when we think about college admissions and we think about going to a 4-year university right after high school, taking 4 years of those core courses is important. Colleges want to see that. Trying and excelling in a world language, that's important. So the minimum requirements for the advanced diploma is what colleges want to see. And so, yeah, you kind of end up earning that. That's the benefit. But we have plenty of students. We looked last night, 86% of our students went and earned an advanced diploma, 17%. That doesn't add up.
No.
The rest,
77%
earned an advanced diploma, 86% took an IB class. 77% earned an advanced diploma, the rest didn't. It's just the way the state designates it, and actually they're looking at combining it into one diploma because they're finding that designating between the two doesn't make a whole lot of difference. So again, this is just for us to track.
And I think, actually, so 77% earned the advanced diploma, and I think 87% probably went to a 4-year school.
Mm-hmm.
So that just shows you that you don't need an advanced diploma to go on to a 4-year college.
Correct.
It's not a requirement.
Good point. And if any of you are interested in any more of those statistics, if you want to go online to our website and look at our school profile, that's updated every year, and it's based on that year's graduating class, and all those statistics are on there. They're very specific. Thank you, guys. Anything else? No? Laura? Before we move? Yes.
So just to recap overall, they can get a standard diploma, they can get an advanced diploma, they can get an IB diploma on top of all of that, and somewhere in the middle are IB certificates.
Yes, and we're going to get to that. Actually, I'm about ready to show you what a high school transcript looks like, but I'll explain, and I'm going to show you that on the transcript, but I'll explain what that is right now. An IB, if you take an IB course and are not pursuing the entire IB diploma, not pursuing or not doing all the requirements of the IB diploma. Maybe a student doesn't want to do the extended essay. Maybe a student doesn't want to do CAS, which that I don't understand why, because they're also involved anyhow. Why maybe a student wants to focus in one area, not do the full diploma, but maybe wants to take one IB course or 5 IB courses. If they do that, they get a certificate for each IB course that they took. So we call that courses. It used to be called certificates, but now they get a certificate for those courses. And it will, the certificate will not appear, but the IB course name and designation will appear on the transcript. And I'm going to show you that.
And then I don't know if this is too much, but depending on how well they do on that IB exam, they might possibly earn college credit.
Right, possibly.
Do you have to pass the IB exam to get the certificate, or is it just completing the course?
It's passing the exam.
You have to, so you have.
You have to sit for the exam, yes.
Okay.
Yes, you will not get a certificate unless you sit for the exam. And I'm going to show you, like I said, some transcripts. What you will not see right now on the transcripts, but you will see in the future, is when a student does the full IB diploma, it will state on there what the student's extended essay was, what the requirements were, so that it shows that they did that. Same thing with MYP, which you won't see because we haven't had anyone complete MYP in Falls Church City yet, or do a personal project yet, but it will show on their transcript that they completed the personal project. And we'll talk about that as we move on.
And I just want to say, I know this is a ton of information, especially if you haven't had a high schooler yet, or you don't work in education. We don't expect you to memorize it. We don't expect you to know the ins and outs. We want you to be informed. We want you to be knowledgeable and involved in your students' educational process. But that's our job, to track all of this. We are all experts in doing this. We know what's needed, and we're going to, if you ever have a question while they're in high school, ask us, are they going for this? Are they going for that? But I promise you, we've never had a kid not graduate because we're like, oh, they didn't, we forgot about that science. It's gonna be okay.
We've panicked a few times.
Yes,
but-
they always graduate.
Okay, yes.
Just a quick, the virtual course requirement, I know you talked about the economics of personal finance, but can any high C course or online course through Mason fit that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, remember, they have to take economics and personal finance. That's the only reason I say that. Okay, if we could move on to transcripts. Because of confidentiality, a lot of the identifying information here has been blacked out. So this, I'm going to show you different transcripts, what different transcripts look like, and just point out different things. Every transcript will have identifying information: the student's name, birth date, gender, grade, class of, meaning when they're going to expected to graduate. It has their state ID, which means if a student transfers, they're given an identification number by the state. If a student were to transfer from one Virginia public school to another public school, that state ID stays with that student. It's their number. It's almost like your social security number. It doesn't go to someone else, it stays with you.
Where do you get it?
You don't get it. They give it to the student.
I never applied for anything.
No, you don't do it. You don't do it.
Okay.
You didn't apply for any of this. It just comes to you and stays with the student. So they can track if a student takes an SOL in Falls Church City or if a student takes an SOL in Roanoke, Virginia. It's just identifying information on that student. It gives the student's home phone, address, all this. That's on every transcript. It also gives the information about the high school. And then here in this box will show the date the student began and what type of diploma that they received. This gets put on here when they complete their senior year. This student actually was pursuing a standard diploma. Interesting, there's no graduation date on here yet. I don't know why. This was the student's counselor at the time. This is our school number, and this is our school district number. Okay, on this transcript, this student did not take any IB courses. So I just want to share with you that this student in 8th grade, and I apologize, this is an old transcript. At that time in 8th grade, the 8th graders were at George Mason High School. So this shows the school the student was in, the grade level that they were in, the school year, and the semester. It will give the course number, the course title, and what grade the student received in that course. Underneath that, it says credits attempted. Remember I said each box represents a semester or a half a credit. This is semester 1. The student attempted to take World Civ 1, attempted a half a credit, was granted a half a credit, and then the student's weighted GPA is a 1.0. Okay, so let me explain what all that means. An A is worth 4 points. A B is worth 3 points, a C is worth 2 points, and a D, which this student got, is worth 1 point. As Brad pointed out last night, and it's a really good point, something for you to keep in mind, it says weighted GPA. Even though this course is not a weighted course, at the end of every semester it will say weighted GPA. All of our IB, AP, and now our DE, which is dual enrollment courses, are weighted courses. Our honors courses are not weighted courses. This was not an IB, not an AP, not a DE, so this student got a D. His GPA or her GPA is a 1.0, earned a half a credit. What is a weighted? We add on 1 quality point to each letter grade. So traditionally, our A is worth 4 points. If that was a weighted course, such as an IB course, and that student got an A, then that would be worth 5 points. If it was a weighted course and that student had a B, then that would be worth 4 points. Does that explain that?
So you said honors courses.
Honors are not weighted. Only, and I'm going to show you how you know what is weighted and what is not weighted. If it has something, which I can't show you on this one, I'll show you on probably the next one, how you'll know whether it's weighted or not. Yes?
So does their grade at the end of each semester go into their GPA or only their final grade?
That's exactly where I was headed.
Okay, and how many of those grades appear on your transcript? Just your final or each quarter or each
Okay, so those are multiple good questions. So let me address one at a time. First of all, the only things that will appear on the student's transcript are semester grades. We don't show quarter grades on the transcript. We don't show interim grades on the transcript. Only at the end of a semester will a grade appear on the transcript. Only at the end of a semester will a high school grade appear on the transcript. So at the end of each semester, it will show what the grade point average is for that semester, strictly for that semester. At the end of 2 semesters and going forward, it will calculate the cumulative grade point average. Means it takes all the courses into play, all the GPAs, and it comes up with the cumulative grade point average. That's the one that you're interested in at the end.
for each quarter or each semester?
We only show semester grades. Quarters do not factor into this at all.
What factors into the calculation of your GPA?
The semester grades,
Semester grades.
only semester grades.
So a lot of times when your kids are in high school, if they're not already, if you don't have one there, they'll end their quarter and they'll be like, why did my GPA not go up? I have all A's and I had a couple B's last year and I should have now almost a 4.0. We don't recalculate. We only recalculate at the end of the semester. And so that cumulative GPA that they seem to focus on a lot won't be adjusted until midterms, and then that final grade is assigned, and then at the end of the year.
So that's it, so any classes you took in middle school that were high school credit are the same? They would take these semesters, grades? and do middle
Absolutely.
school.
Absolutely. This student was a middle school student
Okay.
at the time.
So my high schooler told me a rumor that, so I.
They do that, by the
They
way.
do, that the policy for honors classes was considering to be changed to give a 0.5.
Okay, so there has been discussion. I can share that with you. There has been discussion, but none of us have been told that there's been a final decision made on that.
Will they make a decision before these kids sign up for their classes?
I can't tell you that I know that that would happen. Honestly, I don't.
It's a deciding factor in our house. I mean, because it's a lot of extra work
to not get a boost was sort of the mentality, so I was wondering.
I hear what you're saying, and I will share and reiterate something that Alana said a few minutes ago that I really agree with as well. Colleges are looking at the quality of the course along with the grade the student achieved. So if a student is in an IB course or an honors course and they're getting C's or D's versus an A in another course, which one are they going to look at better? They can see the student really struggled in one level, but they were so successful in the other. It doesn't mean that they're not a good student. And I hear what you're saying, because I know we all are focused on what school is my child going to go to? Are they going to get in where they deserve to get in? And I'm just going to put that out here right now. I think there's a great school for everybody. And what's great for one student may not be great for another student. We all have different abilities, we all have different likes and wants, and there is the right school for everybody. I'm a parent. My kids are quite a bit older now, and I understand what it's like to focus on grades. I really do. You want your kids to succeed. You only want the best for them. But sometimes the best is not the highest. And so you've got to weigh all the factors to make sure that they're in the class that they feel successful, that they can achieve at their own level, at their own speed. I know that deviates a little bit from, will it be an honors, will it be boosted in the GPA? I know I wave from that a little bit, but I truthfully don't have a final answer on that. But we have had a lot of discussion about it.
And just something to keep in mind, if it is a weighted grade, it doesn't change the letter on the transcript. So if they earn a B in IB history of the Americas in 11th grade, it still says a B. It will be counted as a higher number in the overall GPA, but it doesn't change that letter that's shown. And truthfully, what colleges do is they know, first of all, they know what courses we weight and what we don't weight. And so they do look at that, but they really do count how many A's, what did they take, how many B's, how many C's. That's really what they're looking at, how successful they were, not necessarily their overall cumulative GPA.
And many colleges also will strip the weight and recalculate it as they want to, so that they can look at students from across the country in the same light.
That's very true. And Alana was saying that they count. James Madison University, how many C's do they accept? 6. Maximum. If you have more than 6 C's, they don't look at your transcript any longer. So, and I'm just telling you what James Madison admissions have told us, but that's not true of every school. But that is true. But they've changed that number. Used to be 9. I also wanted to point out that at the end of a transcript, it calculates how many total credits a student attempted. In this case, it was 21.5 credits. That's why this student didn't graduate, by the way. Because they didn't achieve the 22 credits. Remember I said you needed at least 22 credits for a standard diploma. They earned 18.5 credits. And the reason for this is because they failed some courses along the way. They attempted them, but they failed them. We know this is not your student.
Let's not use this transcript.
Yeah, we're moving on. We're moving on. So that's one transcript that we're hoping not to see.
Graduate. Every kid graduates in Falls Church City.
Well, wait a minute. This goes back to 2014. That's
probably only first semester, too. Yeah. Because once again, all of our students graduate.
Can you go down a little bit? Actually, it was not. But end of 11th grade. So they didn't even get to their senior year yet. Okay, our transcript will also show the work in progress if they have not graduated already. So it'll show what they've completed along with what they're taking the following semester. This is an IB certificate student. Again, all this is blocked out. This student is pursuing the advanced diploma. I happen to have been the student's counselor.
If I could just add really quickly. So back in the day, 2014, it used to say if they were going for the standard or the advanced diploma, we don't actually put that on the transcript now until graduation. So when we are sending out transcripts to colleges at the beginning of their senior year, there'll be no marking up there. So that's why this is a little different now.
That's true. This is older, right. What I wanted to point out on this transcript is this student decided to be a student aide when they had a free period instead of taking a study hall, and they wanted to work with a teacher. They got a grade of N. N means no grade intended, and it doesn't affect the grade point average at all. But this student wanted colleges to know that she was doing something which she felt was important. This student was actually helping an English teacher at this time because she wanted to pursue a major in English. And so she was working very closely, and she put all this in her essay, her college essay. So that can appear on a student's transcript. On this column, remember we talked about courses that are honors courses, IB courses, and whatnot. This student took honors chemistry, got a C+, and it's designated as an H. It just shows it's an honors course, even though it's in the title. It stands out. It's an honors course. It's not weighted, though. This student also took AP Government. Is that weighted? Yes. What are our weighted courses? IB, AP, and DE. So it shows which are honors, but even though it's not weighted. What else did I want to show on here?
The number of classes, number of courses, study hall doesn't include.
I can't see it.
Under the works in progress.
Oh yeah, up
if
top.
a student took a study hall, and many times seniors will take at least like one study block, it won't appear on the transcript that the student took a study hall. It'll just list the number of courses that they took. Because sometimes a lot of students ask that, like, is the college going to see that I took a study hall? No, but they're going to sort of infer that, you didn't take a full schedule.
Something that I think is really important is if you notice at the bottom, it says GPA summary, total. Then it says absences. They see the number of absences that students have every year, full day absences. And obviously, if your child has something medically going on, that's okay. Like, that is not going to negatively impact. But if your kid is just taking days because they're a little stuffy or, a normal amount is fine. But when they're in the teens, colleges notice that because now we need to think about, and there's no good reason. Now we need to think about, are they going to go to class when no one's waking them up? When mom's not there to say, get up and go to school, are they going to actually come? Are they going to be successful? Do they have that motivation? So just something to think about. I think, I have little ones at home, and I'm like, you can stay home. You don't feel good. High school is a kind of different level, and it's just something to consider that they do see it is reflected on the transcript.
Okay, let's go to the next one, Alyssa.
Can I just, when you were driving home which ones got the weighted credit, is that by school district choice in the state of Virginia?
Yes.
So whatever the other counties around us do, it's their decision?
Yes.
And the way you said that the honors is being evaluated, has it in the recent past been the way you just described it? So honors has never been weighted, or has that been a change for the
I've been here for 22 years, and it has never been weighted since I've been here. If it was weighted before, I can't speak to that. Absolutely. And when I say,
deeper than mine.
yeah, when I say we've discussed it at our building level. I don't know that it's ever gone further than that. It's just been a discussion. All right, this is an IB diploma candidate. Again, all the same information. It shows all the IB and AP courses the student is taking. Notice it says IB diploma candidate. I wrote that in. We don't write it in anymore. It's typed in. If a student is pursuing the IB diploma, then this would be typed in on a student's transcript during the junior year, if they're pursuing the IB diploma. They don't know until they complete their senior year, and actually the scores and results don't come out till around July 4th after they graduate. They really don't know whether they earned that full diploma or not. But once they've earned that diploma, it just says IB diploma on the bottom. Also on the bottom of every transcript, it explains what all these symbols and acronyms mean, such as distance learning would be DL. All of our hybrid courses are considered distance learning courses. It shows AP, IB, and so forth. Down here is our grading scale. I'm going to confuse you a little bit. I hate to bring this up, but I know it's going to come up, so I'm going to say it anyhow. Our grading scale has pluses and minuses to it. Does anybody remember how many points go for an A? 4. An A is a 90 to 100 on our numerical grading scale. An A minus is a 90 to a 91. Our A plus is a 99 to 100. 98 to 100, sorry, thank you. 98 to 100. In between is still an A. They're all worth 4 points, whether it's an A minus, an A, or an A plus. It doesn't change. So we've had a lot of questions about that. So I just want to make sure we were all on board about that.
The only thing that's shown in the transcript is the letter, not that number.
Correct.
And this, where is that number recorded, if at all?
It's in Power School.
Is that pretty much it? So the child and the student and the parents see it, but it's not published?
That's absolutely correct. Yes.
I have a question about this transcript. So this person is going for IB diploma. For IB diploma, you do math and algebra, and she's doing, or he, AP calculus. That's Spanish. You do foreign language. Your IB diploma, you have to do a language. You have to do. So why the person would do double IB, math standard or higher level, and AP calculus?
So that's
Same thing with the language.
That's a student choice. Sometimes a student wants, which one are they doing here?
AP Spanish.
Okay, so in this, actually I need to share with you, this again is an older diploma. Our course right now that corresponds with this, who wants to say it?
It's AP Calculus BC is actually the first year of higher level math, IB higher level math.
So she
So this
she did
student,
both?
this student would
IB,
take, this student takes Calculus BC in 11th grade, and then in 12th grade they take the second year of the HL class. AP Spanish, students cannot take IB courses until they're in 11th grade, so this student chose a more rigorous Spanish class
Oh, that's
to
10th grade.
prepare,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
to
It's
prepare
10th
for
grade,
IB.
Yeah, it's okay, yeah. It's 10th grade, it makes sense, yeah.
Thank you,
But the
Val.
11th grade was confusing to me. Why would you do AP and
Yep,
IB?
that, because it is considered our first year. The other thing I want to share, if your students are in Spanish 2 this year as 8th graders, next year when they go to Spanish 3, in 10th grade they'll go to Spanish 4, which will be in, they don't have to, but they're on target to go to Spanish 4, which will be an AP course. Just to let you know that. At the end of everybody's transcript, this one just happened to go to 2 pages. At the end of everybody's transcript, it will list the specific school a student went to earn a course or whatnot, and give identifying information such as the address of that school. So if anybody wants to inquire about anything, they can do that. Okay, now this is a student who started at George Mason, left and went to an international school and came back to George Mason. And I don't know if anybody in here fits that bill, but what we wanted to point out, if you go scroll a little bit, here, this student went to an international school. We received the transcripts from the schools the students attended. We accept, if they're an accredited institution, we accept their grades and what their course was. Notice we don't have any course numbers because we don't necessarily have the corresponding course number, but we list the exact course that they took and the grades that they came with, and it will show where they took the course. So if you transfer in or out, we accept all the grades. We will not award grades for a course taken elsewhere. They have to come to us with the grade and the credit from the accredited institution.
And we will not recalculate their grades based on our grading scale. Whatever the school gave to them is what we will assign to them.
This is something else I should point out, the SAT. The SAT and ACT, the state of Virginia requires the SAT and ACTs to be on the student's transcript. We're allowed to just put the highest ACT and SAT scores on the transcript. We do not calculate that. There is a calculating program within our Power School that does that for us. So we don't determine what's the best score to put on there. It is determined for us. The state requires that that be on here. Even though it's on here, it's not considered an official score. Colleges require that a student request the official scores for the SAT be requested through College Board and sent directly to the college that they're applying to, or to ACT for the ACT. So then you ask, why is it on there? Well, because the state requires it to be on there. That's the only reason I can tell you it's on there. There are and have been some families that really do not want this on here. And there is a way to get it off, but you can't pick and choose. It's either an all or nothing. If you choose for that not to be on your student's transcript, you need to send a letter or an email requesting that it be taken off the transcript. It gets sent to the registrar and to the principal. And hopefully you'll copy the counselor on any communication you have with the registrar and the principal so they know what's going on to ask that it be taken off. But again, you can't choose. You can't choose the score you want on there. You can't pick and choose which score you want on there. You can choose not to have it on there.
So if you take the SATs twice and you do well once in English and you do well once in math, say, then the best English and the best math score will appear.
That's correct. That's correct. Just like this. Although it's changed now, but yes.
If a student took subject SATs, would they also reflect here?
No. No.
History, form,
Nope. Nope.
Those do not.
No.
Okay, so-
Yes.
So just recognizing that we're all human and sometimes we make mistakes, do the students, families get to look at the transcript before they're submitting their college applications?
So we don't hide the student's transcript from you or your student ever. You can come in and meet with us and we can go over the transcript, but we also traditionally have sent a transcript home in their junior year for the parents and the students to review together so that there's no surprise as to how they're doing. Hopefully you're following how they're doing academically on Power School as they're progressing, but this is not a secret, not a secret. Okay, so I'm going to move on a little bit because we're running out of time.
But at any point, if you ever want to look at your child's transcript, you can always request an unofficial transcript from our registrar, and that's on the website. It tells you how to do that. So.
Okay, I was told we're over time, so I'm going to go through this as fast as I can. Hopefully you met with Laura and Dan last week. These are the characteristics of the learner profile. Let's keep going. In 9th and 10th grade, students for the MYP are required to take language, lit, math, science, individual society, language acquisition, remember world language. Here it says that this is an elective PE, but the state of Virginia says it's a requirement, so it's an elective for MYP, but a requirement for Virginia. Let's go. Personal project, they're all going to be required to do this, and it'll be completed by the end of the 10th grade, probably in March, and they'll actually be able to showcase the beautiful project. This is an example of two of our current students who have done a personal project. One swam with the fishes and another built a guitar. They can do anything they want that they're interested in. We're done. Okay? Thank you.